Look around, and you will see a lot of guys putting in brutal hours, convinced they are building an unstoppable life. Yet under the surface, they feel entirely stuck, disrespected, and completely burnt out. We have been sold a flawed idea of what discipline looks like. We think it means rigid time blocking, grinding out tasks until we drop, and relying on some temporary burst of motivation to get us through the day. When you examine the mechanics of that hustle, you often find a person who is entirely at the mercy of their next notification or a supervisor's bad mood. If a single external event can derail your entire week, the massive output isn't a sign of strength, it's a high-speed reaction. Ancient Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus diagnosed this exact failure centuries ago. They realized that spending all your energy trying to bend the outside world to your will while ignoring the chaos inside your own head is a fatal error. The Stoics recognized that our frustration is born from the lack of a filter between what happens to us and how we choose to interpret it. You see this instantly when someone lets raw emotions dictate his next move. The moment criticism hits or fear bubbles up, he reacts without thinking. When you operate like this, your mind is defenseless. Stray comments ricochet straight through you, pulling your life in a dozen directions. The Stoic approach creates a buffer zone. It builds deliberate space between stimulus and response, allowing you to choose your next move. Without that space, you fall into another trap, calculating every action based on how it will be received. You avoid necessary conflict to stay liked, or worse, you tear other people down to prop yourself up. Constantly adjusting your personality to please a crowd is a symptom of deep internal insecurity. Every time you warp your values for acceptance, you chip away at your own identity. True discipline means operating from a set of immovable principles. You realize that lasting respect doesn't come from being universally liked. It comes from standing firm in who you are. That brings us to the habit of wrapping yourself in excuses and consistently taking the most comfortable path available. When you blame the environment, your lack of free time, or your past, you are executing a subconscious strategy to play the victim. It is an easy way out of taking responsibility. To break that cycle, you have to ask a single, highly practical question. What is strictly within my control right now? That philosophy of extreme ownership is what generates forward momentum. It is the exact mindset required to navigate massive challenges and command respect, rather than retreating from pressure. We tend to think you need confidence before you face a heavy challenge. In reality, confidence is forged entirely in the aftermath. It is the direct result of stepping into the dark and doing the work anyway. Dodging difficulty might feel entirely safe today, but over the long term, it severely limits what you are actually capable of achieving. Beyond the missed goals and lost time, a more permanent damage occurs. You stop being able to rely on your own word. If you only act when you feel motivated, you inevitably start breaking promises you made in moments of clarity. Every broken promise quietly destroys your self-trust. Discipline functions as a steady, daily baseline. It is the act of fulfilling the promises you made to yourself when no one is watching and the immediate rewards are non-existent. This creates a compounding effect. Disciplined actions stack into unbreakable habits, and over time, those invisible habits cement a new, unshakable identity. That quiet internal regulation is the real strength of the Stoics. It is an internal standard of value that has survived the collapse of empires. You don't stumble into that kind of strength by luck. You earn it through a conscious, daily decision to turn off autopilot, stop blaming the world, and conquer your own mind.